It's literally a crazy world we're living in right now with uncertainty around us everywhere in the world. But it's the end of the month and that hasn't changed. What that means for us is it's time to set up our April 2020 budget. Stick around to see what we have planned during this time of so much uncertainty. Hi friends, if we haven't met, I'm Jen, and I talk about living life on a budget, saving for our future, and paying off debt on our journey to financial freedom. If that's the kind of stuff that you like to hear about and talk about, then click on that subscribe button down below and make sure to tap the bell so that you'll get notified every time I post a new video. Now let's jump right into this budget. Matt and I are both still working full-time, and that's because we work for essential businesses. They've been deemed essential by the federal government, and so that's great news for us. And then within that, we both work in positions within our companies that are deemed essential at this point in time. Now, Matt's may change, that's very possible, but I think that mine will probably remain. If you are wondering what Matt and I do, I work in human resources. I'm actually the HR manager at my company, and so I am part of a core team of management that is still working. I actually go to the office every day still. That may change in the coming days, but for right now, still going to the office every day. Matt actually works for the state and he works in the unemployment division. So you know that unemployment claims are climbing exponentially day by day. And that means that my husband's team is extremely busy supporting everyone in the state and trying to navigate all the new stuff that's coming with the stimulus package from the federal government and everything. And that means that he's working in a position that has some overtime for the first time in the 2 years he's worked there. So this is actually a great opportunity for us. And he's worked about 16 hours of overtime in the last half of March. So what that means is his first paycheck in April is going to be bigger than it has been. And probably his second check in April will be as well. We actually made adjustments for that within our income here that I'll talk about here in just a minute. So anything that we get from this overtime that he's working, but anything that he's getting, we are planning on putting in the emergency fund. And that is, of course, to help us get through uncertain times, right? The other thing I want to say about talking about our income and the fact that we're working is Matt and I recognize how extremely blessed we are to still be working. So if you look over here in our income section here, you can see that I have our regular salaries blocked out. That is the way that I do it every month, but I'm very open about what it is that we expect to come in. So you can see here, this is what we would normally expect to see come in is $9,226. That's an automatic calculation off of his standard checks, but over here in the budgeted, I increased both of his checks. I was very conservative in how I did it, but I did increase both of his checks so that we will be identifying here that we have some extra income come in. I think it might actually be more, but I'm being very conservative at this point because I'd rather have this be less than have it be more. So we're starting with $9,575. In giving, you can see that we've already accounted for a plan of $50 in the month of April. Oh, and by the way, I meant to point out that this is actually our March budget that has been copied over with the actual column data removed. So we're focused on this budgeted column here, right here, and I finally remembered to freeze the panes up here so that we can always see the title of the column. And I shaded it in a light green this time just to kind of make it stand out for you. So hopefully that helps. So let's talk about housing. So I don't expect any changes. Our mortgage will be $1,054. Utilities are going to be, for gas and electric, will be $165. We won't have anything for our quarterly water, and it's water, garbage, sewer from the city. And then mobile services will be $178. Internet will be $101, and that will bring our total housing to $1,499. In transportation, I do see some changes here. So remember, these are numbers from March, so we're going to update them for April. So I'm anticipating that gas will be down a little bit, so I'm going to change it to $300. OnStar will be right around $21. Repairs to the Lucerne, we got all of those done in the month of March, so I'm going to change that to $0. And that brings our total transportation to $321. So in food, I'm going to change our groceries to $3.50. And the reason why is because we did a huge stock up in March. So I'll be putting out our March budget report here in a few days and you'll be able to see that. But $3.50 is probably being generous. We probably won't need to spend that much because we have a lot of food here in the house. So during I think it was the first week of March, we kind of anticipated that things might get a little hectic. And so we went ahead and shopped for 3 weeks of groceries at that time instead of just one. And boy, were we ever glad. And then we had all the main things that we needed, very shelf stable or freezer friendly type foods. And then when everything got really hectic, we didn't have to go to the stores and need things. Matt would go to the store and check out to see what was there and supplement anything that we were running low on or that we forgot to get. Like the first time I forgot to order bread and lunch meat. So he had to go out and get some of that stuff because I forgot to put it on our Instacart order. Which, by the way, if you guys haven't heard of Instacart or you haven't used it yet, let me just tell you, that is an amazing service. So in the midst of all of this, delivery services are in really high demand. So a couple of things. First of all, if you're looking to make some extra income, you could absolutely start working for Instacart and delivering groceries. And many people who are having deliveries done now are not wanting to be in contact the same way that you would rather not be in contact with people for the social distancing. And so there's a lot of do the shopping and drop it off at the door. So there isn't any interaction with the public for the most part. And it's a good way to make some extra money. But on the flip side of that, if you want to use the service, I do have a link down in the description below. Check it out. If you use that link, it is a referral link. And so Instacart will give you $10 to use towards your first order. And I think I get $10. I get something for it for using my link. So I just want to be very clear that we both get something out of this. But it's a fantastic service. We used it for Aldi. We can order from Target and Costco. Those are the other two big stores here in town that we can shop from. But there's several. I mean, there's like 8 or 10 actually. They're just things that I wouldn't normally shop for, at least not in bulk. So anyway, Instacart is the way that we've been doing this actually for probably the last 6 months or so. I'm not saying that Matt doesn't go to the store because he does. In case you haven't figured out, I don't like to shop. I don't like to go to the store and shop. I love online shopping and having it delivered to the house, but I have never been a shopper my whole life, going back to when I was a kid. We will plan on $3.50 for groceries, and then we're going to leave dining at $100. So that puts our total food budget at $4.50, and that may be generous. Here's what I think is going to happen is we're not going to use as much in groceries, and I think we're going to use dining more because while we aren't eating out that much, we are doing it about once a week. And right now we have more people in the house. So I just see that going up a little bit. $4.50 for food in April. Moving on to the Henry category. Let's see here. The school fees are all done and I don't have any need to put any money in his food service since he's not going to school right now. Henry is a senior in high school and his last day at school was actually March 13th. And they were off that next week. And then this past week, the last week of March, the last full week was his spring break, which was already planned. So he's been out of school for 2 weeks. And we have no idea when the school is going to come back. Right now, they're set to be off through the 7th of April. So we're just waiting to hear what the governor has to say about what's going to happen. And by the way, we're in Illinois, in case you didn't know that. We are in Illinois, so we are following what Governor Pritzker is putting out there, and the schools are closed through the 7th. So we'll see what happens. So many graduations around the area have been canceled. It's going to be really sad if we don't get to see him graduate from high school, but we'll see how this all plays out. We'll pray for the best, right? Okay, so moving on to pets. Let's see here. So we have $15 for grooming, and then I don't have anything planned for food in April. I was just thinking about May with Henry. Nothing for food, nothing for meds. Actually, you know what? I think we are going to have a meds expense. I am going to change this to, I think it was $64. And then the vet is going to be $54.95, which is Bella's pause plan that we have. So that brings our total pets to $133. Let's move on to insurance here. And you can see there actually isn't a plan for any changes at all. This will be the same. There's nothing going to be changing as far as I know. So that'll be $771. All right, entertainment's up next, and we need to change a couple of things here. So streaming will be $20, HP Inc. will be $3. Cinemark, I think they must have gone up $1 per month because that was $10.69 last month. And family entertainment, I'm going to change from $50 to $30 because I think we've gone 2 months and maybe spent $5 on family entertainment. February we didn't because I was gone all month and Matt and Henry didn't do much and I wasn't doing anything. I was gone 23 out of 29 days with my parents, helping with my dad and everything. And then March was March and nobody's going anywhere or doing anything. So I'm just going to move that down to $30 and yeah, we'll see how this all plays out. So that brings total entertainment to $64 for the month of April. In health, I don't foresee any changes. It'll be $325 for our flexible spending, $35 for the gym. Although, you know what? These might not come out. They might get waived since the gyms are closed. I feel like we got an email about that. And healthcare, I'm going to leave it $100 because the billing's not going to stop on that. So I anticipate to continue to get things for 2019 that will need to be paid. So that takes this health expenses to $460 for the month. Okay, so while I was shifting the page, in comes Bella to say hello. So she just got her hair cut today by me. So that's one of the things that we do to save money. Sit still, girl. And so this is Bella. She's our mini schnauzer in case you haven't seen her before. She makes a cameo every once in a while. She was just in here checking out what I was up to. Weren't ya? So, anyway, this is Bella. You gotta go, baby. All right, moving on to extras. So sorry, that was Bella. These are all the things that we had in the month of March. So I'm going to delete all of these. And here's the thing is that we don't ever plan on extras, but the extras and the crap I forgot about that are really kind of the catch-alls for the things that don't fit into any of our other categories. Typically, if anything shows up here, it's going to show that it's over budget. So let's see here. What I do though when I get here is I check out our annual expenses spreadsheet. So let me just do that real quick. I'm going to switch over and you can see I already have this filtered to represent April. I know my picture's kind of over the corner a little bit here. Let me do that. There we go. There's April. And so I have it filtered so it'll only show, so that for the month of April, it'll only show the things that have X's in them. A couple of different things. First of all, we've got a birthday coming up for one of our daughters. We had planned on $200 for Henry's school expenses, which there will be none. I'm going to leave that. I'm just going to delete the X from here. We do have our anniversary coming up, but we were supposed to go on a trip for our anniversary and that has been canceled because it was to a conference that's not happening now. At least not that weekend. And it's our 10-year anniversary. And so this trip was kind of a big deal. And I was really excited about going to this conference with Matt, doing it together and everything. And so that's all up in the air. I don't foresee that we're going to be going out or doing anything. There's really no point in buying any gifts. So I'm not planning on doing anything for our anniversary. And then this is Henry and Xanthi's baby brother. And the reason why we always had this line in here was because it was to give Henry some money to buy some gifts for his baby brother. And Henry now is working, but Henry's making a lot of money for an 18-year-old. And so he doesn't need us to give him money for this. So I am going to clear this row out because it's no longer a thing. Also, I canceled our MileIQ subscription just because we haven't been using it enough to justify it. So I'm going to clear that row out. So really there are two things that need to be addressed here. This one is really a non-issue. So I'm going to leave it there because next year it's going to be something. But anyhow, so the birthday's already accounted for. This isn't happening and this isn't happening. So that's everything. So when we get back over here, there isn't anything in here that I need to put into extras or crap, I forgot about that. In envelopes, this is our electronic envelopes. So this is really kind of where it's sort of supposed to be like cash envelopes. We just don't pull the cash out. So for spending for me, it'll be 40. For Matt, I'm actually going to change this from 80 to 60 because he's not really able to shop much right now. We increased from 40 to 80 for him, so he would have some additional money to buy items for his resale business. And he just really hasn't been able to do that because he can't get out and do that. So I'm reducing this down to 60 because I don't foresee he'll be able to spend much money on that anyway. Household and miscellaneous are going to stay the same, and so that's going to bring our total envelopes to $215 for April. All right, so moving on to the budget bounce. Let's see here. I don't have any plans for education or equipment, and subscriptions will be our normal $11.98. And then travel, I don't have any plans for that, so the total will be $11 for April. Moving on to our savings, there really isn't any changes here except for my retirement number is up. That's because I increased my 401k contribution starting effective April 1st. And Matt and I talked about it and decided that this was a really good time to do that since the stock market is so low right now. It's a good time to be buying a little bit more. We don't put a whole lot in there, as you can see, but every little bit helps. And if I can buy low right now and we can afford, to give that up for our retirement, then that's what we're going to do. So $483 is what we're planning on for savings. Okay, moving on to sinking funds. We are going to do 275. I'm sorry, let's look at the green column. 275 into auto insurance, $40. Actually, I'm going to change that to 39 into auto registrations. I'm going to change business travel to 20 since Matt's not doing any right now, but I want to build that back up because he used all of that and then some in February because of all the travel he had to do for work. Utilities will be 80, clothing is going to be 40, 25 for estate planning, $40 for gifts. Actually, I want to change gifts to 0 because of the fact that we're going to be spending some of that. We're going to be spending all of that and then some. Henry, I'm going to change to 250 for school. Holidays will be 60. Image Cosmetics will be 50. Life insurance will be 81. Healthcare will be 25. One check ahead is going to be 50. Online subscriptions will be 80. Pet expense is only going to be 17. Actually, I think it's 16. The reason why is because we do 150 a month. And I've already accounted for almost $134 up in the pet section. So there's only 16 left to put into the account. Technology will be 25. Travel will be 340. Vacation, I'm going to change to 100. Vehicles, I'm going to change to 100. And then anniversary will be 15. So that brings our total sinking funds to $1,671. Now, I'm also going to up here to move $10 from into our checking account to help with that $50 expense that we anticipate having. And that's the only spending that I anticipate out of the sinking funds. Now we're going to move into our final category, the debt section, and I have this broken down into 3 different parts. So the first section is debts that we have paid off, and you can see we've paid off $25,434, and they're all listed here, what they are. And we've paid off more than $25,000, but these are the debts that are completely, totally gone for good. And that's $25,000 and change of what we've paid off so far. The next section is our charged off section, and this is $9,547. These are all old accounts that we are not currently paying on, and likely we will end up settling on these later, but we'll just see how that all plays out when we get to them. And this is at Matt's request. So let's talk about Matt's request for a second. So you notice that there are 2 different font colors here. So anything that is in black those are items that are in Matt's name only. Anything that is in pink, those are things that have my name on them. They might also have Matt's name on them, but they for sure have my name on them. So Matt at the beginning of our journey, very, very early on, within I think we were on the second month of budgeting, and he was very clear that his wish was that we focus on things that are in my name. So it's not that we never pay anything that's in his name, because we do. You can see we've paid off several things that had his name on them. But it's because of the two of us, I have typically had the better credit score. And so he wants to get that to bounce back as quickly as possible. So over time, that's what we've been doing. And we've got pretty much all of them, almost everything we're paying now and actively paying is something that has my name on it. Our actively paying balance is $186,094. So let's just go through those really quickly. So we plan on spending $20 to Medic EMS, which is an ambulance bill. Then we have my Care credit card will be $50. My Capital One card will be $25. My 401k loan will be $154. Matt's private student loan will be $57. It's been running around $55. My Lowe's card will be $190. We have this card is going to be $200 instead of $400. The car payment's going to be $550. Child support will be $725, and this is child support arrearage that Matt's paying. The family loan will be $200, and then student loans we're going to change to $0. Matt actually is on an income-driven repayment plan and does not have to pay anything to his student loans. I had been paying $225 starting in January of this year just to keep ahead of this interest. If you look over here, this is the estimated interest. And now that they have the student loans down to 0%, all of his have officially been moved over. We are going to not be making any payments during this time and putting all of that money into our emergency fund. So that is just a precaution. It's just so that we have some extra money in case we need it, in case something happens and one of us can't work anymore. So that brings the total to $2,171 for total debt payments. Now, as we move down here, you will see that our total expenses come to $8,302, and our total income is at $9,585. So let's talk about the income for a second. First of all, we started with $9,575. Let me show you why that changed. Let's go back up here. $10 has appeared in the sinking funds field, and that's because if you look up here, this is a formula that grabs whatever the total in the spent column is in sinking funds. So if you think about it, we are saving money into our sinking funds. That's part of our spending plan every month. But if we have to use any money out of the sinking funds, then that becomes income in the month that we use it. I'm hoping that makes sense. And we have to account for it in our income so we know what our total bucket is that we are working with. So this formula automatically grabs it. And so if I go back down here, I'm going to scroll real quick down to sinking funds. You can see $10. It was this field right here that it's pulling. Okay. So if I put in another $50 somewhere else, that changed to 60. And then back up here, this changed to 60. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to undo that because we're not going to do that. Okay. So now we have an extra $10 in there. $9,585, but our total expenses are only $8,302. And so we need to do something with this over that we have, this money that's left over. So we've cut our expenses quite a bit in the month of April, and we are going to save all of this money. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to take that and I want to add it to what I already have in the emergency fund right here of $50. And that brings the total to $1,332.56. Now, when I scroll back down here, I'm sorry for all the scrolling, you guys. You'll notice that now we're at 0. And this is rounding. The reason why this shows 0, even though these are different, is just rounding in the Excel and the Google Sheets. But the goal here is to spend every dollar on paper before we get it. That's what we're trying to do here. We do a zero-based budget to try to get this to $0. And when we say spend, it's not all spending. Some of it's saving, but it's accounting for every dollar and giving it a job and giving it a purpose. And then This is our plan, and then we track against our plan, and we try to follow our plan. Now, things change, and a budget can be fluid from one month to the next. A budget can be fluid within the month that you're in. February was a great example of that for us, where we had I put out my February budget setup video, and like 4 or 5 days later, my dad fell and shattered his shoulder, and it just everything was different than what we planned for February. That's just the way that it goes. So, but if you have this plan, it's a lot easier to make changes throughout the month. Let's see here. So obviously this new amount here that I put into savings, this more than doubles what we currently have. Let me move my picture here. So this shows that with my 50 that I put in every month, we would have been at $1327.58. But actually, this is going to end up being, by the end of the month, it's going to be $2,610. If we're able to do this, we'll have $2,600 in our emergency fund. And that's important to us because of the uncertain times that we're in. All right, so I moved back down to the bottom here so that you can see the totals again. But the bottom line is we're choosing to do this in light of all the uncertainty that we're living in right now. And everything extra that Matt is making in overtime is going to go to the emergency fund, along with the extra that we're getting by reducing our expenses in some of the categories, plus the $225 we're not paying to the student loans now that they're at 0%. So our goal for 2020 was to save more. That was something that we had decided, and that meant that we would go to strictly minimums on debt and then put everything that we could into savings for things that we knew that were coming, like the need to buy a new car and the fact that we had like $2,000 in repairs to do to one of our other cars. So we saw that coming and knew that we needed to be saving for those things because they were happening whether we wanted them to or not. They were needs, they were not wants. So we had no idea when we set this goal for ourselves, which was in early December, that this health crisis was going to happen. We didn't know, but we sure are glad that we had already changed our strategy because it made the shift less stressful for us because we had already decided to stop our debt snowball and put it in savings. When this all passes, we'll decide if what we have saved is going to go in towards paying off debt, or if we're going to keep it in our emergency fund, or if we are maybe going to do both. We get to decide what we're going to do at that point in time. And that's what's really awesome about personal finances. It's personal, and you get to decide what you want and need to do with your money. Be thinking about what you need to do for your situation. For us, if we were paying a snowball right now, we would stop the snowball. That's what we would have done. But you don't have to do what everybody else is doing. Assess your situation. If you have questions and you want to know what I think, if you care what I think, feel free to either leave a comment below or shoot me an email. I include my email address in the description in every one of my videos. Feel free to email me anytime if you have any questions, and I will answer to the best of my ability. I am not a financial advisor. I am not a financial professional, but I do personal finance for my family every single day. And so that's what I know. And I would be glad to share my opinion based on your circumstances. Up next, I'm going to be expanding on that and talking about your money and health in uncertain times. So be sure to click on this video when we get done here. Stay through the end because there's going to be some great additional information for you about emergencies that go beyond the emergency fund. I will meet you guys over there. And that's all I've got for you today. Until next time.